What's up, guys? I hope you guys can hear me okay. As you come into the chat, I'd appreciate if you could tell me if you can hear me and you can see me all right. Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. And this is where we have intelligent, Black, fearless conversations. Today I want to talk a little bit about college and college education, particularly based on something that came up yesterday when we were talking about HBCUs and what HBCUs can and cannot do for Black people. Now, I want to make sure it's 100% abundantly clear that this is not a diss track on HBCUs. I think HBCUs perform a valuable service, and I've defended HBCUs on a lot of occasions, particularly when Dr. Dre gave all that money to USC, but didn't give any money to any Black universities anywhere. I thought that was kind of trifling and kind of pathetic. But with that being said, Jason Black made a good point the other day, which I actually can't help but to agree with, where he basically said that part of the reason that HBCUs have trouble teaching their students how to be economically independent is because many HBCUs have not found a way to economic independence. A lot of this is rooted in the history and the tradition of how universities are run, and the model. The model seems a little bit problematic, a little bit antiquated. Now, what's my history with HBCUs? Did I ever attend an HBCU? No, I did not. I would have been happy to, but when I was in high school, my grades were so bad I couldn't get anybody to give me a scholarship except for University of Kentucky. It's a racist institution, but they got me through school, and I wanted to teach at an HBCU, and so I applied at Howard University. And I remember it was a complicated process. They literally offered me, the lady that spoke to me offered me a salary that was 1/4 of what I was making at Syracuse. But even with that, I would have considered leaving, even to move to a higher price city like DC. I would have just had to find other ways to make more money. But I remember, having a conversation with someone at an HBCU that I was thinking about going to, and I won't say the name of the school, but at this other school, I remember one thing they said that kind of bothered me was they said that if you want to teach here, you can't do all this extra stuff that you're doing on the internet. And I said, what do you mean this extra stuff? And they said, well, there's all this, going on TV and, doing stuff on the internet. You can't do that because that might cause jealousy amongst your colleagues. And I remember thinking, well, first of all, I don't care, like if you're doing something well, people are going to get jealous, and that's their problem. That's not yours. But then the other thing I didn't understand was I said, OK, so you're cutting my salary by 70%. And you're telling me I can't make money outside of the school. Well, that puts me in a really tough position. So I couldn't do it. So instead of, trying to get a job at an HBCU, which HBCUs, unfortunately, many of them tend to be somewhat conservative, I just created the Black Business School. And I use technology to be able to educate Black folks on financial topics worldwide. We have about 83,000 students now in all parts of the world, Africa and beyond, and all throughout the United States. And it works. It works. We like it. It's a happy, it's a happy median in the sense that I get to be free to teach people what they need to know. And we can charge literally 1/50th of what you pay to go to a university, but we still have university professors. And then we even have professors that universities are afraid of, like Dr. Claude Anderson. Dr. Claude Anderson, there's no excuse for any HBCU on earth to act like Dr. Claude Anderson does not exist. The idea that HBCUs have rejected a man who literally is the living personification of Marcus Garvey in terms of his impact on the economic thinking of Black people worldwide is ridiculous. Charlemagne the God reached out to me to ask me to help him to get Dr. Claude Anderson on the show. And God bless Charlemagne for inviting Dr. Anderson on. And his video, I think, has 1.5 million to 2 million views. And if you look at the comments, go look at the comments. All the comments are very, very positive, very, very favorable. Like, thank God I've never learned this. I went to college and they never taught me this. I'm going to go read all these books because I learned a bunch of bullshit while I was in school. So what I'm just saying to y'all, just straight up point blank period, because I ain't got time for bullshit. I'm telling you, like, we need to stop the nonsense. Like, seriously, I don't have time to BS. I just don't. We're all going to grow old and die one day, and we have to be real with each other. And one thing we got to be real about is that there's something missing that our college graduates are not getting. Give me a yes or no if you agree. If you've seen this, if you've either seen it or experienced it firsthand, did you feel that when you went to college, and some of y'all might be HBCU graduates, and you should be proud of that, right? HBCUs provide a tremendous service in so many different areas. I mean, when it comes to professional development, my God, HBCUs produce so many doctors and lawyers and everything else. And when I went in on Dr. Dre, when I wrote that article, it was read by over 1 million people around the world, including Dr. Dre. He was very unhappy with the article, but I basically said that his donation that he gave to USC should have went to some of that should have went to an HBCU, because that money would have been transformative. But so I'll defend HBCUs to the death. I agree when we talk about HBCUs being underfunded, but what you also must concede to and at least consider is the fact that it is a losing strategy to believe that the Donald Trumps of the world, that the Trump administration is going to give you all the money you need in order to create a quality learning environment for Black people. It's silly for you to believe that that the Democratic Party is going to give you what you need when you had a Black president for 8 years, where all the HBCU presidents got together. Go look it up, guys. Go research this. Don't believe me. Go research this. The HBCU presidents all got together and basically explained how they were pissed at the Obama administration because Obama was using his Blackness as an avenue to undercut, their needs, the money that they needed. Like this is real. This ain't me making this up. This is not me being a hater. You can call me a hater because I brought you the truth, but you can't get too mad at the truth. Eventually the truth's going to kick you in the head. So, at the end of the day, I think that we have to be real with ourselves and talk about education in America and how it is failing all of us. We believe, for example, in the Black Business School, 3 things we believe are that Black people should educate our own children, create our own jobs, and support Black businesses. So how can you create your own jobs and support your businesses when your educational infrastructure does not put most of our people in a position to even know what it means to create a job? Most of our young people are learning how to go chase a job. Also, another failing of many of our schools that are, might be considered HBCUs, which is unfortunate, is that a lot of times, from what I've kind of studied, is that a lot of these schools are built on a Eurocentric way of thinking, meaning that they're basically Black versions of white schools. It's like you take a white guy and you put him in blackface, and then suddenly you think you have a Black person, when actually Black people are different. We're shaped different. We think different. We live different. We do different. We're not the same. So you can't take a white guy with blonde hair and paint his face Black and say, "Hi, I got a Black man," because Black people don't have blonde hair, right? We don't live like white people. We don't think like they do. We don't have the same environment that they do. We don't have the same obstacles that they do. We don't have the same issues and challenges that they do, right? So the analogy I'll give you is this. Imagine if you were learning how to play basketball, right? I'm 5'8". I'm 5'8" on a good day. I'm 5'7 3/4" when my doctor decides he wants to piss me off by telling me how tall I really am, right? I'm 5'7 3/4" when I go to the doctor, but I'm 5'8" when I'm feeling good about myself. So let's say that I'm trying to learn how to play basketball, and I go and they say, Shaquille O'Neal is going to teach you how to play basketball. So Shaquille O'Neal teaches me how to play basketball. He's 7'1", I'm 5'8", and Shaq says, "Well, here's how you play. It's really easy. All you do is you stand under the basket, you get the ball, you turn around and you dunk it. You just dunk it on him, right?" So I'm 5'8", and I'm like, "Oh, okay, I can do the same thing." So I go under the basket and wait for the ball, and I'm like, I'm gonna turn around and dunk it. But I can't play like Shaquille O'Neal because I'm not as tall as him. I don't have the same physical resources that he has. I don't have the height that he has. So if I want to learn how to play basketball, I should not learn how to play basketball from Shaquille O'Neal. I need to learn how to play basketball from Spud Webb, who can teach me how to play basketball at 5'8", who could say, "Look, in the NBA, the guys are tall, so you got to shoot the teardrop shot because that's how you can get the ball in the air before the big guys can swat it away," right? You'd have to learn different based on what you're working with. You must learn from people who know how to achieve that goal with the same resources that you have. You can't have a person who has 10 times more than you're working with telling you how to get by, because what happens is this. White folks educate Black people on business. So white people will say things like, "Oh, well, when I wanted to start my business, I went to the bank and got $100,000 loan because my idea looked really good on paper." Most black people can't go to the bank and get a $100,000 loan to start their first business. Or white people can say things like, "Oh, well, when I wanted to start my company, couldn't get the money from the bank, so I borrowed $100,000 from my uncles, and they loaned me the money." Most black folks don't have uncles that can loan them $100,000. So black people have to be taught in a specific way with specific goals that fit specific needs and specific challenges. White universities do it very badly, and HBCUs don't do it very well. From what I've seen, and this does not mean that there are not entrepreneurship programs in HBCUs. It does not mean that entrepreneurs do not come out of HBCUs. This is not in any way a diss on HBCUs, but I don't see a lot of HBCUs. Maybe you guys can correct me. I don't see a lot of HBCUs that are embodying powernomics principles. I don't see a lot of HBCUs that are really preparing, thousands of black youth to truly address the challenges that are being faced by the black community right now. Again, prove me wrong. If I'm wrong, don't get mad. Send me an email with information and facts and data that proves me wrong. Show me where, powernomics principles or black economic development principles are being taught en masse at HBCUs, because all I know is that, I hear from guys like Sharif Abdul-Malik. Sharif Abdul-Malik created We Buy Black. He's in his 20s. He's probably a millionaire. He's like the black Elon Musk. He's a brilliant guy. And he created We Buy Black. And he said that he learned entrepreneurship from watching his parents. And when he went to Howard, he thought that the business students would know how to start businesses. And he said what he found was that the majority of the business students did not know how to create businesses. They only knew how to manage someone else's business. So all they knew how to do was go ask somebody for a job, typically a white man. And if the white man did not hire them, then they had no job. Black people don't need more people that are looking for jobs from white people. Black people need the ability to create jobs that other black people can obtain. So we don't need job seekers. We need job creators. Okay. So the point of the matter here is this. I was asked about this, and so I thought I would address it. And you guys know I address things in an honest way. I think we can do better. I think we need to do better. I think that we have to literally rip up the blueprint and create an entirely new one. I think that unfortunately, the reason, the reason a lot of HBCUs are not positioned to teach economic independence. Yes, please, babe. Thank you. Are not in a position to teach economic independence is because if you look at the infrastructure in terms of how they pay their own bills, they're not economically independent. Most HBCUs, I hate to break this to you, but most private universities, about half of all private universities are expected to be bankrupt in the next 10 years. So a large percentage of your HBCUs are going to disappear. They're just not going to be able to get the funding that they need in order to do what they got to do. Does that mean we should support them? Absolutely, we should. But I don't know if it makes sense to support an antiquated business model. I don't know if it makes sense to financially back a model that is not giving the community what it needs. So I think that what the people that actually care about these institutions have to do, and I consider myself in that category because I run a black school. It's not you could call it an HBCU. Maybe it's not technically an HBCU, but we don't need anybody to give us a license to tell us what we are. We're black. The majority of our students in the black business school are black. And people say, well, do you have accreditation? From whom? Do accreditation from white people? No. Black liberation will never receive accreditation from white people. True black liberation will never be co-signed by white people. It will never be endorsed by white people. It will never be funded by white people. It will never be supported by white people. So we don't seek money from the government. We don't seek money from corporations. We don't look for any of that because we're trying to literally rip up the blueprint and develop a new infrastructure that is going to help us achieve specific goals. We're B1, as they say, B1, black first. Type B1 in the chat if you're black first. So we put black people first. We put black wealth first. We don't have to follow the pathway of political correctness and whatever the Democratic Party is telling us to say. We just say what we want to say. We say what needs to be said. So no, we don't seek accreditation. We give accreditation because black accreditation is very different from white accreditation. The ability to educate a black child is very different from the ability to educate a white child. White people who want to give black people accreditation to give them the right to educate black children are the same people who have no ability whatsoever to educate black children at an adequate level. So why would you wonder why you're failing if you're seeking to be approved and accredited from the very people who don't even have the ability to accomplish the task that they're trying to give you accreditation to do? Think about this. Think about this. Do I have the ability to tell doctors whether they have the right to do surgery when every patient I've ever had has died on the damn operating table? Who am I to say you need my approval before you can do surgery and half of my patients are dying and when they shouldn't even be dying? No, you need to rip up the blueprint and have a different model. And I think that generally my basic argument here is simple, and I'm going to be done because we got to go on this airplane, is that we really need a revolution in all areas of life. We need a revolution. We need to rethink everything. I challenge HBCU. Some of y'all went to HBCU. Some of y'all a little butthurt right now because you think I'm disrespecting your school, but I'm not doing that. I'm just literally thinking to this in my soul of souls, in my heart of hearts, about what's working and what isn't. And I'm just going to tell you point blank, period, straight up, that there's no damn excuse whatsoever that HBCUs are rejecting things like powernomics, which is very popular amongst the masses of Black people. If you care about Black people, why are you so detached from something that literally has resonated heavily throughout the masses of Black people? Do y'all know? And I'm gonna share some of this at the risk of sharing something I don't know if I should be sharing, and I don't even care. I'm gonna tell you, Tiffany Haddish and Charlemagne the God went to Dr. Claude Anderson's house to talk to him about powernomics. Like, this is not some fringe BS ideology. These are things that are resonating heavily with millions and millions of people all across the country. When he went on that Breakfast Club interview, he got over 1.5 million views on that interview because people were like excited that this is the thing that we've been waiting for. This is what we've been looking for. Everything else we've been learning to this point, a lot of it smells like bullshit. So if so many people feel that way, then why would we in any way accept institutional leadership from individuals who dig their head in the sand and act like the economic apocalypse is not coming for Black people? If you don't prepare, if you don't become aware, if you don't act, then you will die. You will economically die. The Black community is expected, especially by 2053, to die a slow, ugly economic death. A big reason for this death is the toxic poison, the financial poison of student loans. Student loan debt is going to lead to the economic death of half of the Black families in this country, maybe more. So those who continue to do what's been done and those who continue to bury their head in the sand are not only guiding others to death, but they're going to be in the financial grave themselves. I don't have time for that nonsense. I'm just here to tell y'all the truth. People can get mad about it if they want to, but I got to just say it like it is. That's what I'm seeing. Again, if you don't agree, email me and prove me wrong. Give me some data that proves me wrong, and I'll listen. Outside of that, you just get mad. All right. So anyway, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. Also, if you want to start in the Black Business School for free, you can actually get a free membership at theblackbusinessschool.com. That's theblackbusinessschool.com. We have thousands of people that are our students at major universities that are paying $30,000 a year, and they're paying us nothing. Some of them are paying nothing. Some of them are paying a few dollars for premium options or whatever, and it's working for them. It's really working. And so feel free to go to theblackbusinessschool.com. You can talk to our specialist right now if you're interested in taking a look at alternative ways of viewing Black wealth and Black wealth education, because I think we've really got something that really works. So anyway, guys, I'm out here. Have a good day. I'll see you soon. Take care. Peace.